I'm George Floresco. I'm the third National Vice President for the Canadian Union of Postal Workers.
Many of the delegates I've spoken with here at the CLC convention have been mentioning the likelihood of a postal strike. What's the situation, George?
Well, we've been negotiating with Canada Post for the urban members since October of last year. We've been through many meetings. Contract expired at the end of January of this year. We've gone to a strike vote for our members, and we've received the strongest strike vote we've ever had, with the highest participation we've ever had. We're now getting down to the final stages of mediation with the employer, and it doesn't look very good. They're demanding a lot of concessions, and they're refusing to recognize our demands to improve services to the public and to share the benefits of modernization with the workers. So we're in a situation now where we could be on strike within a matter of 2 weeks from today.
Is that right? What are the kind of concessions they're asking for?
What Canada Post wants to do is save on labor costs. So they've made proposals to eliminate our current sick leave plan and replace it with a short-term disability plan, as they call it, the STD plan. They also want to introduce a two-tier structure where new hires would receive less money and have less benefits than the current employees, and save on that. They're also looking at trying to restructure the workforce so that they can save money through less workers to do the same work. It's basically an all-out attack on a lot of benefits and rights that we've had for decades.
What are the issues that your members are most upset about?
I think right now they're most upset about the employer trying to take away our sick leave plan, and also they're upset about the new work methods being introduced through their modernization program. And that's in particular for letter carriers, the new delivery methods they're trying to bring in.
How different will this STD be from the sick leave plan you now have?
Well, it's radically different. You wouldn't earn sick leave credits anymore that you could use when you're sick. You would basically have to sign on to an insurance plan with a private company. A private company would administer it, and you would receive only 70% compensation for the most part. And you would also then be reduced on injury on duty pay from 100% to 70%. So it's a very complicated plan, and those bargaining units that have had this forced on them are not happy with the consequences. So we know that for us it'll be even bigger.
I don't want to. I know there's a number of important issues. Another one that you mentioned just now is the two-tier benefits. That's going to divide your membership, isn't it?
Well, that's what the employer is hoping. They proposed to us that new hires would have a 30% reduction in pay right off the bat, and that they would have less benefits in regards to vacation leave. They would take a lot longer to receive the top rate. There would be a lot of issues regarding working conditions that would change. But I think a lot of our members are realizing that if they get away with this time, they're going to come after all the workers the next round of bargaining. So we're seeing a lot of unity around it, and the employer's desire to divide and conquer has not become a reality yet.
When was the last time CUPW went on strike?
Our last strike with Canada Post was in 1997. It was pretty ugly at that time, but I don't think it compares at all to the situation we're facing today. Today, Canada Post wants to go and roll back benefits and rights we've had, in some cases back to the 1960s. So the membership is ready to fight this. They're ready to take the employer on, and the union has got the support of the membership.
People don't use the post office in the same way that they used it in 1996. How is that going to affect your ability to talk to the public?
Well, we talk to the public about the new reality of postal service, and for many people, especially in the rural areas, the postal service is just as important, but in a different way, in allowing them to communicate with family, friends, business, and that. So we know that there's less letter mail going out, but we know that there's also more parcels going out, and that there's other services we can offer. So we have demands on expanding services, in particular financial services in communities, big and small. It's been very successful in other countries. Postal banks make a lot of money, and people trust them a lot more than they trust the corporate banks.
What other kind of innovations would you like to see Canada Post bringing in?
What we'd like to see is Canada Post use their network of retail outlets to offer different types of services that currently don't exist in communities. Some of them may be other government services, federal, provincial, or municipal services that aren't available right now. So we'd like to see those expanded. We'd like to see more hours of operation, and having the public have the ability to go to these outlets when it suits their needs, not when it suits the needs of Canada Post.
You really need the public behind you on this if there's going to be a strike. How will you do that? How will you mobilize public support?
Well, we've been working with the public for years now, and back in 2008 we hired a polling company to get the response of Canadians as to what they think about Postal Service. And it wasn't much of a surprise to us that we had close to 70% of the public saying they wanted to keep the public postal service in place that provides a universal public postal service. And we've also been talking to a lot of communities for the past few years about their needs and their requirements. Most of them are quite favorable to expanding services, and we believe that talking to the public and communities is the way to go. And Canada Post has to listen to the public. After all, they own the post office.
Canada Post is a crown corporation. It's at arm's length from the federal government, is it not?
It's true. It is a crown corporation, and arm's length is a term used to describe it quite a bit. But we know in reality that the government, if they want to bring in something serious and make a change, they have the ability to dictate the rules and dictate the policy of Canada Post.
So Canada Post will be taking its marching orders from the Harper government then?
There's no doubt that the government can dictate the direction they go in bargaining, and that's why we've been talking to members of Parliament before the election, and we will continue to talk to them after, about the future of a public postal service.
What do you think union members and other unions and members of the Canadian public in general need to know and need to do in order to help you?
Well, what people need to know, and excuse me, and other delegates need to know here at the convention, is that it's important to maintain a strong public postal service in our communities. It provides decent jobs for the communities, and everyone knows communities need jobs right now. There's been so many cutbacks, but we also provide a service that helps a community grow, and people recognize that.
Any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Well, the next few weeks may be very difficult, and we know that some in the media and the right-wing media will be coming after us. There's some who want to privatize the post office. There's some who want to take away benefits and the wages we have and try to initiate a race to the bottom. We're not interested in that. We want to make sure that with the new technology coming in, the modernization of the post office, that the public gets a benefit out of it and that the workers get a benefit out of it. I think that's important for our future.
Thank you very much, George.
You're welcome.